Yeah, but
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, perfect.
what is the site you're on, Matthew, itself?
What's that?
What's the name of the site you're on itself?
fglife.com. All right, so we're going to go through running an illustration for an F&G Pathsetter. That's the one that I use for Index Universal Life products. You first need to be contracted with them and have all the, I guess, prerequisite training done for the product. I think most of these retirement specialist market type carriers have specific product specific training that you need to go through for each product. Like each annuity that you sell, there's a product training. It's not very long and it's free. You have to get on their site and do it. It's a requirement before you sell. So don't get in the home and realize that you can't open up the application because there's some prerequisite. So anyways,
the training doesn't necessarily teach you how to use it, because we did the training and we don't know how to use it.
Yeah, it's like the ins and outs of the product, but it's like, yeah, it's not this. Mm-hmm. So I click on illustrations right down here. And then you're going to go to the website. You can download the software. I have Macs and they're not supported here. It's only PCs. So I don't ever use this. It would be nice if I could, if they had an iPad version, but you have to go into the software, the computer software on the computer.
I can log on my computer or iPad.
Yeah, I can do this on an iPad, but I have to do it through Chrome. All the way through. I've done appointments and ran illustrations and got signatures and submitted an app 100% in the home on an iPad without a piece of paper. I've done that many times. So it's very doable without all the crazy 28-page illustrations. So we're going to start a new case. Here we go. We'll put client Jones. So this is client Jones, and we'll just say he's 50 years old. Actually, that's not a good age for starting an IUL. You want to be younger. As a rule of thumb, you want an IUL to go at least 15 years, maybe 20. If not, I just tell people you have to be really aggressive about funding it. So, and I don't have any problem saying that, because if they go to start a 401k at 50, they're going to get the same thing from their financial advisor. You started late, you're going to have to be real aggressive. We're talking 800, 900, 1,000. I had a conversation yesterday with a guy, and I told him you're going to need $800 to $1,000 a month because he was thinking of starting up an IRA. I'm like, well, if you're going to put that much money into it, here's a second option. So he was actually really intrigued. I'm going to go back. But that's just the nuts and bolts of it. So I have mine by default as Arizona, and I'm going to pick the Pathsetter. This is the one that I know. I can't speak to the Everlast or the ExecuDeck. I know Bill Martin promotes the Everlast, but I'm not sure the difference. The Pathsetter is for growth, maximum income, and retirement income down the road. So Julie, you asked a question like, can we fund? I don't know the answer to it, but can we take a 401k and roll a whole bunch of money into an IUL and start? I think you can up to a point, but if you overfund it, it'll turn into a MEC, and we don't want that to happen. But I don't know the details of where that is. I would say if you had a case like that, I would get Bill Martin involved or start working directly with the sales team at F&G just to make sure that we find that line. But because on the illustration, it asks if there's a a rollover? 501. No, that's jeans. I can't remember what the number is, but the rollover thing, it asks if there's any money rolling over. So I'm assuming
someone just spit my water out.
I get the numbers mixed up. Pathsetter. So we click select, very simple. I've never done an annuity through F&G. I'm only doing this when I do an IUL, it's usually this product. I've written a couple of Mutual of Omaha, Index Universal Life Express products, but mostly they're these. Okay, so before I start here, I'm going to go down here.
Question about that. Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
Is the Pathsetter pay better? Is that why you primarily do that? I saw some of it was like 13.5% or something.
Yeah, the cap is at, I believe it's 13.5 right now. It'll go up and down. It was at 14 something last year, but it's 13.5. It's I think from what Bill Martin's saying, it's one of the highest on the market. it's a really profitable account.
So you would go with Mutual of Omaha only if they didn't qualify for FE?
Yeah, or they have different goals. Like Mutual of Omaha, it can be a replacement for Living Promise if they're in their 60s or 70s and they're healthy. You'll find the pricing for the indexed universal life like 20-30% less than a Living Promise, so they can get more bang for their buck. Now, you take on a little bit more risk. I think their cap is 9%, but it's express, and so you don't go through the illustrations or anything. It's a really simple one. But I've only done that a couple of times. There's some training on the website about that one, and I think there's more places for it. If people are wanting it for retirement and to build a massive income, then I wouldn't go for it. I'd go here. So I kind of use it as a backup whole life that grows a lot better than a regular whole life, but they have to be healthy enough. So, so then I was taught when I first learned how to do this to put 50% in the annual S&P, 100% par participation rate, and then 50% Barclays overseas. And that diversifies it so it's not 100% here in case the market tanks here in America. So this diversifies your income or your allocation. It's called the allocation, so that you're using both markets. So those two, I can't speak to a lot of the rest of these. Well, they're different participation rates, but then they'll have different cap rates. And you can see the illustration rate is higher on this one. So this has 140% participation, but I think the cap rate's lower on it or something. So anyways, I just do those two. That's what Bill said. He said, just do those two and don't worry about the rest. You're going to want to change the payment mode to monthly so that when you go up and calculate the payment, it doesn't go annual, it goes monthly. And then pay premium 2. So right now it's Y, that's year 100. We're not paying into it for 100 years. That's the default, but that's insane. So you can do A for age and then 65 if they're planning on taking income at 65. They don't have to take income at that age. They can take income whenever they want. It's life insurance, just like a cash value on a whole life. They can take money out whenever they want. We're just doing an illustration. So I always like to let people know you're not locked into this, but we have to have something to run the illustration on. So let's assume our goal is age 65, I want an income. That's very common. A lot of people say 65 because that's what we're taught in, with our tradition.
Now, if they decide to do it at 60, obviously that's going to change the payout a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, if they want, I've had some people say, no, I can go longer, I can go to 70 or whatever. I'm just going to do 65 for today. Change the death benefit from option A to option B to A. And I wanted that to change also at age starting at 65. So at age 65, the death benefit will grow to offset the amount of money we're taking out from the income.
All right, hold on. So explain why is it option B to A? Dive into that a little bit.
I believe it's, so I don't know for sure. I was just taught to do it that way because that's the best way. You can run different scenarios.
Okay.
See how
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that works, Russ.
I accept that answer.
I didn't ask enough questions. I'm like, okay, just do that. Just click there. But I believe it's because if you lock the death benefit, you're putting more money towards growth. And then when you start taking money out, you want the flexibility of the death benefit to release so that it puts more money out. It's just better for profitability because you're not in it for the death benefit. You're trying to get as much as you can into the growth, not into the death benefit. That makes sense? I always talk about an IUL. The death benefit is kind of a nice side benefit. It's not why we're doing this. Our purpose here is not protecting the mortgage, paying it, have a huge payout, although that can happen if you die. The whole purpose here is for us to have tax-free retirement. Okay, so we want all of the money to go as much as we can into that growth and not into the death benefit. So max acumen income, I guess you can run a bunch of different ways, but this is the one that most everybody wants. They want to make as much money as they can. They want to accumulate as much as they can and have as much income as they can. So I go max acumen income, and then this comes up. So we pay premium. We already have age 85. Cash value, don't worry about this. This is just something that they stick in there. I don't even know why it says that. They're calculating a certain cash value at a certain age or whatever, but you don't have to worry about anything there. This is the income stream. We're starting it at 65 and we want it to go for how many years? So I usually say 55 years because that takes it to 120, which is what most standard whole life illustrations are. It'll blow your mind if you run it for 25 years versus 55 years. It's a difference of like hardly any money. This doesn't change your income. It's very, very little difference because there's
Okay,
enough.
I have a couple
Now, wait,
questions. I'm lost. I have a couple questions
Okay.
before you go on.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you put 150,000 in the face amount. Is that correct?
No, it did it itself. I didn't touch that. That's just when you put, when you put in the premium amount, then it will calculate on the illustration the exact face amount. But this cash value field and the face amount field, I didn't touch those.
Okay,
So you
Those
have
don't
a start
have
age
bearing on the illustration.
65. How old is this person we're doing?
I put him at age 40, but
Okay, so why is the start age 65?
because he's going to contribute for 25 years before he starts taking an income.
Okay, so this
This
is
is
the
the
start
income
age at
stream.
which he starts paying out, and the years 55, where'd that come from?
Okay, this is the income stream. So he's going to start taking an income at 65 years old, and he wants income for 55 years after that.
That's a long, he's gonna be really old.
Yeah, that goes to age 120. That covers most people.
okay.
People, okay. All right, I'm following.
So for 50, now you can do it for 40 or 30, whatever. It doesn't hardly make a difference on the income. It's like very, very little. So don't think that by, oh, I got to string this out by 55 years, it's going to cut the income in half. It's not like that. So I just go to age 120 and I click OK. Let's see. Did I do anything else here? Solve for. I got to change that. I got to solve for the face amount. That means I'm going to enter in the premium amount. Okay. So this pops up. And now you can see, because I put monthly when I started, this is by default is set to monthly. And this guy is going to put in $500 a month. And I hit OK, and it's going to run 500 all the way down. All these years, he's putting $500 a month, right? Now, if he wants to contribute more, let's say he's like, yeah, but in a few years, I think I could do 700. You can click on here and change it to 700. And all the way through the rest of the time, it'll be 700. So he's 500 for the first 3 and 700. Everything after that changes, and you can change this one to 8.
And
9.
is that locked in? Now that you made the illustration, like that's locked in. So what happens in 4 years? He can't pay the 700 or whatever year you put, he can't pay the 700.
He doesn't have to. This will water down the effectivity of the illustration because it's going to increase the amount that he can contribute without turning it into a mech. And if he doesn't reach that amount, of course, he's falling short of his potential of being able to max fund it. So the only thing, there's no repercussions. The policy's not going to lapse. He's not going to be required to follow through. It's just going to water it down a little bit.
Okay. And does the carrier reach out to that client and say, hey, your premium is going to go up just as your illustration showed, or is it an automatic thing? I know like for one of them that we did for the Drapers, one of the first ones that we did for my friends, they had it change over, I think at age 25, because they thought, well, now the kids can take over. So is that something that I assume the client, the insured, has to take it up with the carrier and make those arrangements?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think the carrier automatically adjusts because this is simply the illustration. The illustration isn't the contract. It's kind of what the contract is based on. But I would think, and I don't know the answer because I haven't, mine I set up this year to increase $100 per month on an annual basis for 5 years. So it goes from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8, all the way up to 1,000. I have, I'm still completing my first year. So I don't know if I assume I'm going to have to reach out. That's what I'm planning on. I'll just call them and say, hey, I want to go up to 6 now, or up to 7, or up to 8.
Okay. You can keep us posted on that. I would assume they would send a letter out or something.
Maybe. I don't know that yet. They might, but on these, even if they do pick 500 and it stays, I was told by F&G they can still contribute more as long as it doesn't turn into a mech, and as long as they can't change the death benefit size, but they can contribute more. I just think at the end of the year, they may kick some money back and say, oh, we can't accept this because it's overfunded now and it's going to turn into a mech. So we're returning your premium. If that happens, if they unintentionally overfund it, they will get some kickback of some kind. F&G is not just going to apply it, have it turn into a mech, and then they're screwed, because you can't go back. Once you do that, you can't go back. It's a mech, it's taxed, and it's a switch, and you can't change it. So you would have to you'd probably have to sign a waiver and some documents and all kinds of things to turn your policy into a mech. It's not going to happen on its own. So they have a lot of stops to safeguard that. Okay, so he wants to contribute 500. We're just going to keep it level. He starts at age 40. He contributes all the way to, oh, this just goes as an illustration. This isn't his actual illustration. So I'm just going to click OK. And I think that's all we need to worry about for right now. So we're back to this window, and we're going to hit, so paid premium to 65 and income. We're going to hit those fields, okay? The income stream. So everything happens at 65. He starts taking in income. He stops contributing and starts receiving at age 65. So from here, we're going to hit view and print illustration. It takes a minute to get this lovely purple bar with the stripes. It looks like a purple candy cane at the bottom. And as soon as that pops up, in 1 second. There it is. Now I think there's a shortcut in here, calc results. You can hit that, although it doesn't save that much time. So I usually just do the illustration, but this will show you, it still takes a little bit. So it's not that much of a shortcut, but this will show you some just general overview of the numbers. Okay. But it doesn't have all the details. This is the one that has, can you see this new one, or is it still on the old screen?
We can see it.
Okay. So when I show an illustration, and what you should do, I did this when I did my very first one. I read this word for word. I printed everything out, all 26 pages. It was mind numbing at times, but I took a highlighter and I'm like, okay, what does this mean? If someone asked me about this, and I was like Google searching terminology, I'm like, what does that mean? And I don't remember all of it, but it really helped me. So I felt confident going in, saying, if they ask about this or this or this, I can at least have an intelligent answer. A lot of these are definitions. So you scroll through these pages. This is numeric, just a general summary. Here's an overview and a signature. So this is the signature page. When you need to get a signed illustration, this is the page right here, because it has a signature overview. It has all the details up top. You can see his face amount, 191,000. So there it is. First time we're seeing that. But he's contributing 500 monthly, and he's 40, non-tobacco, etc. So this is the signature page, page 6. Riders, here's your living benefits.
Is like what he would get, but that is, well, we're gonna see an illustration that could go up.
Say again.
That face amount, the 191, that's what he is guaranteed to get, like, immediately if he were to pass away. Correct?
Right. That's the
But
starting.
it goes up. It can go up.
Yes, it will go up. This is the starting amount. So here's the illustration, and you're going to see that 196 at the end of the first year. It went from 191. Yeah, 191.7, and then by the end of the first year, it's 196.422. So here's year one. You can just, and I go through these, just one line item at a time with the client. Okay, so at the end of first year, this is what it looks like. Hardly anything. Account surrender value is the amount in the account that would go back to you if you surrendered the policy. So this is your cash value right here. Okay, the account value is just a number that they use to calculate things on. But that's, the account value is not what you get back. The surrender value is what you would get back. They run 3 sets: guaranteed, non-guaranteed, and non-guaranteed. And these are low, medium, and high. This is if the world goes to hell in a handbasket and stays there for all 20 years. That's guaranteed. So it's not pretty. It's required that we show it by law because we're in financial services and we have a fiduciary commitment to our clients. And they need to know that there is risk. This is not, but the guarantee, the very bare minimum is that. Has it ever happened in the history of the world? No. But by law, are we required to have it in the illustrations? Yes. Middle ground, again, less likely. This 7.32% illustration, that's pretty conservative if you look at the 20-year history. So these numbers aren't inflated. They're intended to be conservative. So he contributes for 10 years. Let's take snapshot number one. He's 50 years old now. He has put in $60,000. Okay, and I just go over to these numbers over here. Your death benefit is now $258,000. You have $64,000 in surrender value. Okay, and you put in 60. So now another 10 years, you put in 120,000. Okay, and 120,000, you have at 20 years, you have a $409,000 death benefit, 217,000 surrender value. So even if you just took all the money out that you put in, you've almost doubled your money in 20 years.
Wow. Wow.
That's if you just did that but you would never want to do that because the benefits here are much, much better. 5 more years, now we're at age 65. You have contributed $150,000 and you're done contributing. You're not going to put in any more money now. At 65, that's 25 years, right? You have $540,000 death benefit. So again, you don't have to keep, like can you imagine being 65 trying to get $500,000 of coverage? Well, it started out $196,000, now it's $540,000. $348,000 payout if you wanted to do that. But that payout is what's going to give you income for life. So here is your pension, your tax-free pension. See this 34,000? That's an annual figure. So that's almost $3,000 a month for the rest of his life. You can see that 34,000 keeps going all the way to age 120 right there. So let's say he lives to the ripe old age of 90 years old. He has still put in 150. He has taken out 850, and he still has a $214,000 death benefit, plus 124,000 if he surrenders the policy. Now, this 851,000, that's tax-free. This is where it's cool because people, when you go to get your 401k out and you get this $34,000 figure, your income is probably $25,000 from that, depending on your tax bracket. Because Uncle Sam takes his part. Because it's life insurance, it's tax-free. This is a loan that you never have to pay back. And starting at 65, you can see it goes for the rest of his life. Now it goes down, the death benefit you see is decreasing, the cash value or the surrender value is decreasing because you're taking income. So you're drawing from the account.
Now, Matthew, is that $34,000 annually?
It's annually. These are annual figures, yeah. Because these are years,
Okay.
71, 72, 73. It's not monthly. That'd be a heck of a retirement if it was monthly. But
So where are you getting the
$3,000 a month.
Or am I getting what?
the $3,400 a month? I'm lost on that. Where are you getting that from?
No, I said almost 3,000 a month. I just did 34,000. 36 would be $3,000 a month. So it's like 28.
Where are you getting that from though?
I'm dividing 34,000 by 12. 2837.
And that withdrawal loan at 34,000 is on the high end, the 7.32 for illustration purposes. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, that's illustrated on the
So it
7.32.
could be a little bit, it could be lower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Could it be higher?
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yep. That's based on this. So if you keep scrolling down, and this is the other thing, we watch this every year. If you have a bad year or if it's not funding enough, they can contribute more. But if they live past the age of 100, the death benefit starts going back up again. And someone explained that to me once. I can't remember why that happens, but look at the surrender value and the death benefit. They get all the way to 120. You're up in the
Because
millions.
it doesn't ever happen.
because it doesn't ever happen.
Yeah.
But you're still able to continue to withdraw for life. Okay, so here's the illustration of how we allocated the funds. We did 50-50, if you remember. That just shows a little chart and a little bit more about those. S&P 500, the Barclays, which is overseas. I think it's Britain or England. How the cost of crediting works. So that's all detail stuff. Annual point to point. This is what you should read this. Okay, the current cap rate is 13% right now. So there's the cap rate. And Barclays, okay, so Barclays, and here is the cost, life insurance cost information, the tax, how the tax treatment works, and historical performance. So this is the Barclays here. You can see how it's done over time. I'm sorry, it's this one. I think it's actually, I'm not sure. I think it is this one, the 1% bonus. Anyways, it started in 2005, so it only has a 15-year history. And then the annual S&P 500 with a 13% cap, 20-year average is 7.87. So you've got an average of 10 and an average of 7, and they're giving us, what are they giving us? 7.32. So it's conservative because this is
Go back.
these are,
So when we're writing the illustration, we're allocating for the S&P annual and also the one on the far right, which is the point to point 14.5%.
yeah, that's 145% participation. But this is Barclays.
145.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's Barclays Trailblazer and then there's the other Barclays. So we put 50% in for the 145% par.
Yeah,
whatever
let
that
me
means.
see what our allocation was. It's, yeah, see this here? It's the same thing. Barclays Trailblazer sectors, 145%, 50%. So the maximum illustrated rate, it stops it. It doesn't let you, and then it averages those two and you get 7.3 whatever, right? So they max illustration, they put max rates on the illustration, so we can't show inflated numbers. Now, could everything go to zero? Yeah, just like in their 401k, could go to zero and they could lose money. The benefits here, they can't lose money and it's all tax-free when they pull the money out. Here's a chart of the charges and expenses. You can choose to leave this off in the illustration if you want. If you go down here at the very bottom, right here, you can unclick that. And you can this is the living benefits, which I like to show that, but I don't encourage them to use it. It's there if they need it. If they really want living benefits, I get a separate Foresters or GPM policy, and then you don't want to disrupt this by having a cancer claim and you mess up your whole retirement from it.
Yeah.
Okay, so charges and expenses, and I don't even know what that is. So just an overview of looks like just an overview page, supplemental riders. You can add riders into it, et cetera, et cetera. There's the bottom. So that's the illustration. And now, can you see this chart? Or is it still
Yes.
on the, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, this might cut off, guys, because like I said, I have the extended unlimited time, but only let me do 40 minutes when I did the Zoom. And I need to go and get ready for my appointment. So I'm going to listen to the recording. If you could send that out to me, Matthew, and I'll forward to Kathleen. But just know you might get cut off here in just a couple minutes.
Okay.
It said you extended it to unlimited. I got a little notification.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funky. But thank you so much for your time on this, Matthew. It's a lot to absorb, but I've got a good start.
Good. So this is.
I have a friend who's interested for herself and her kids. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a friend
Okay.
that's interested for herself and her kids. So I need to grasp this.
Okay. It's
All right,
really
I'm
powerful.
going to go.
for
Thank you
kids.
so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah. Thank
So-
you. Bye.
You're welcome. See you later. So this is how, like, when I sit down with somebody, this is the slide I use to show to help people understand IUL in the simplest of terms, because everyone understands a term policy. A term is the biggest death benefit you can get for the smallest amount of premium payment, right? I'm trying to get, so this is my premium payment. I want as much death benefit as I can get. And then cost of insurance is part of that cost. So this is a very simple visual breakdown of how a term policy works. The reason I put it there is because a lot of people understand term, because that's a very basic. So when you switch to an IUL, you want to take that death benefit, crunch it down as small as you can. We're gonna do just the opposite. We're not in it for the death benefit. Death benefit is only there so we can call it life insurance and it's tax-free. That's the only reason the death benefit's there. Now, is it a nice benefit? Yeah, like I showed you, there's still $500,000 if they die. That's really cool. That's not why we're doing it. So I like to change people's mindset. And IUL, we're flipping this around. I'm shrinking the death benefit as much as I can to free up space for growth, cash value growth. So your same contribution, these two as represent your premium, most of it's going to the death benefit on a term policy. On an IUL, most of it's going to cash value. So that's why we shrink the death benefit as much as we can. So it's called max funding. We want to put in as much as we can without turning it into a MAC.
Okay. Can you explain that bar graph below?
Yeah. So this is the next concept is the market. So this is not an actual illustration. This is just to show a principle. So these are not, real years, but if every gray line is a year and this is zero, you start investing and the stock market goes up and you do really well. And the stock market crashes, you have a semi-bad year, it crashes again, and it starts going back up again. Well, this is kind of a normal flow for people who have money in the market. With an IUL, it'll go up, but it's not going to go up as fast. See, on this second year, the red line goes up a lot higher because they had 20% growth in the market. Well, we only have 13, right? We cap at 13. So our stops, it didn't go as much as they did, but when they lose money, we don't lose money. So we stay flat. So that's why this part here says zero loss. So when the market starts to rebound, I get to start from here, not from down here. So they have to rebound from a negative point. We get to rebound from where we left off.
Okay, because the way I would read that graph, there's no legend to it. So I was assuming the red was the cost of insurance, and it was comparing the cost of insurance with the death benefit.
Oh, I should probably change the color. I can see how that's confusing. Yeah, I was trying to make the red like a traditional one, like don't do it. Blue, but
you made this. You made the slide.
What's that?
You made the slide.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Maybe just put a little legend in there to say the red line actually is what is that, like normal
stock market,
yeah,
or traditional IRA. So yeah, then you can see they climb really fast. We climb at 13.5. So it's the safe growth where you can't lose money. You can't go negative in your growth. Now it doesn't mean you're, like you saw that illustration where it only lasted on the zero on the far left column, it only went 20 years and stopped or whatever that was. It doesn't mean zero growth. What that means, where is it? Yeah. So this here, it went it went 27 and then the policy lapses right here. It just means it ran out of cash value. So the policy went belly up. They didn't have any zero growth or negative growth. Okay. Oh, and by the way, one way to check this to make sure you've done it right, see these purple markers?
Mm-hmm.
In year 25, the death benefit changes from B increasing to A level. So that's that's where we put in that change. You want that change to happen right here in your last year of contribution and before the money coming out. So those purple markers should represent the end of your contribution period. So that's where you know if you did it right.
Okay, I'm not sure if I understand those zeros though. Would that mean that if the world, like you said, if everything is just terrible, would that mean that there's no retirement that's going to get paid out, and that's why it's zero?
These zeros?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, these zeros mean the policy does not have any more money to pay out. So in this case, he would get 34 the first year, 34 the second year, and then there wouldn't be any more money after that. So he would have put in 150 and he would get back 75.
Okay.
That would be the guaranteed assumption. That's the worst that could happen.
Okay.
And the other one, the second one, goes out right here. So as soon as there's no more money, this goes away, this 34,000. Even though it's illustrated for life, it has to come from a source. And so if there's no source, then of course that 34 goes to zero. So here he would get back, he contributed 150 and he would get back whatever it is at this point.
But is it true to say that if this, this is our future, if this is not able to pay out, then if they were even contributing to a 401k or Roth IRA or whatever, that would also be in dire straits because it's all coming from the same sources.
If this went belly up, they probably wouldn't have any money left at all in the market because the market would have been negative for 20 years.
So at least they have something coming. It's something guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a safer way to build a retirement.
There's
obviously some.
I don't really even talk about this. I mean, it's never happened in the history of ever. And it would have to seriously, like, the whole market tank and stay there for all 25 years.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they
like the zombies would come and then.
I mean, you'd have bigger things to worry about than this, like survival. We're talking like
toilet paper.
yeah, we're talking like major, bad. But if you look at the historical, and this is what really helps people feel good about this. This is an actual historical performance. This is how these markets performed every year, right off the data. So you can see there are some years with zero. See that, like zero, and in this case it's 0.25. So the actual market would have negative, but we would have done 0.25. So when the market did negative, see that in 2015 or 2000, 2001. So there's the .com. Here's the 2008 crash, 40% market loss. People are losing their shirts. We still gained 0.25%.
What's S&P for?
I think it's like Standard and Pacific or something. It's the top 500 companies in the market on America's soil. So it's just an index.
Okay, so that far
like
along
an average.
The stock market.
Yeah, it's a performance of how the markets are doing here, the top 500, and it takes an average of all 500. So your money's not in any one thing where it's risky. If that company crashes, you lose all your money, but the market's still doing really well. That happens to a lot of people. They just pick the wrong stock and the market as a whole is doing well. It just happens that the one I picked didn't do well and I lost a lot of money. So an index is a lot safer way because you're averaging 500. So what are the odds of all 500 doing poorly? Like not very good, right? So you can see the actual numbers where people have lost and how these have performed. So this is the actual index numbers. This is how yours, if you had one, would have performed. You can see the cap is at 13%. So the average is 7.8 out of the last 20 years. And the 20 years is more relevant than the 100 years because our market, like some people say, well, how come you don't have, numbers back from the 60s and the 50s and the, turn of the century? Although I've never had that question, but I know it could be asked. That the world was different back then. We live in a .com age. We live in technology age. Like the last 20 years is the most relevant, and it's probably the highest predictor of how the next 20 years are going to go. I don't care about how life was back in the Great Depression era, how the market performed then, because our world is completely different than that world. So anyways, the 20 years thing is pretty relevant. Now, can anybody say that it's going to keep performing? No one can say anything with any certainty. But all we can do is take an average, last 20 years, and then be conservative and pull it down a little bit more and say, these are what the numbers look like. And that's about as fair as anybody can be. So they can't go somewhere else and get better guarantees. I can tell you that. They're not going to go, yeah, well, if you can't guarantee my money, if they're going to go for guarantees, they're not going to be getting, then get an annuity and it's like 3 or 4% growth, right? But anyways, so you run these same numbers on a kid contributing like, a baby contributing, well, I'll pull this up. Starting at age 0, $50 a month.
Yeah, I'm gonna run one on a 1-year-old.
Yeah, $50 a month at that age, 65. Their income, female, $81,000 a year. That's at $50 a month. That's all they have because
That's
they have
crazy.
time
That's
on their
crazy.
side. So you can see as
Yeah.
you get older, like a 40-year-old, well, let's take a 45-year-old contributing $1,000 a month only gives them 71,000. That's not even 81,000 at $50 a month. So it's a huge difference. Like when you're talking to a parent and you say, do you want to set your kids up for like financial success in life, even if they worked at McDonald's their whole life,
Mhm.
right? Someone can find $50. You can be on welfare and find $50 a month. You just got to stick with it for a longer period of time. And if you start out doing that, and most people, you know, you can find $100 or even 150, but if we're going real slim, and if you start out, even starting at age 20, well, 20 is not that sexy if you're doing $50 a month, but if you did 100 starting at age 20, you know, that's $33,000 a year for the rest of your
Yeah.
life. Most
Yeah.
people between that and social and, you know, spouse income, like they're fine. You know, that's still almost $3,000 a month. And you're by then if your home's paid off, you're on Medicare for healthcare expenses and things.
Yeah.
People don't need that much money in a lump sum. They need cash flow on a monthly basis, and that's what this does.
So can you talk a little bit about how the commission is? Because I was really surprised when I did the 4 IULs on my friends' kids, and the commission wasn't what I expected it to be. And I don't remember what I called and they explained it to me, but I just didn't understand enough to remember it.
Okay, the way I understand it, and I don't understand it 100%. There's a lot of things I don't understand. I just like have never concerned myself, so I just like it is what it is. I'm just going to keep writing policies. But there's a target premium, and it's somewhere in the illustration, or let me see if I can find it on here. Someone showed me once, and we are commissioned based off of the target premium. Why is that not? There it is. They put it in here somewhere so that you can know what it is, but it's not obvious from the client what it is. And I'm not sure what it is. So if you have a little kid, the minimum face amount is $50,000. So on a kid, the target premium might be lower because you're contributing below because they start at 50. So more is going to the death benefit because it's such a small contribution amount.
Mhm.
It has to, the death benefit and the contribution, there has to be a relationship between the two. Your monthly premium, the death benefit. In this case, 191, we're up over the minimum. So obviously we're in an ideal situation, but with a little kid starting out, if they're only putting in 50, it's lower than the death benefit. I think that affects your premium because the formulas go south of the minimum. Does that make sense? Even though on the illustration, it shows the minimum, the face amount is 50,000. It doesn't go less than 50.
Okay. But now if the APV is, you know, if someone's contributing $50 a month, then the APV would be that times 12. That's what the APV would be.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to put in the APV from the target premium. I don't even know if they've been fixing it on mine. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering for this month's purposes, if it would be advantageous for me to do one I still haven't done one for my kids. And in thinking of hitting that 7,500 mark, and I don't know if we want this on recording or not, but you know, I'm just,
Remember, this could live forever. So,
you know, I'm just want to be smart, you know, if I'm really close and this is the month I've been wanting to do it anyway. And
yeah, you might have to reach out to,
because my kids are going to have birthdays coming up soon. So I want them to be this age when
yeah,
8, 11.
yeah, because the Equus has said to use the annual target premium or something as but I don't know where to find it. Somebody said you come back in here and you have to change something, and yeah, payment mode to target, and then run a separate illustration, which just seemed like a lot of work every time if I'm doing one. So I've always just put on the regular, but I'm probably doing it wrong. Because the target premium is what? is what we're paid on from what I understand. But that'd be a good question to take up with Equus or
Okay.
F&G.
I guess maybe Equus to start with, because they're the ones that's going to count. That's what I care about, is who's going to count it. And Equus is counting it, not.
Yeah, towards your promotion. And
Correct.
yeah, that wouldn't be F&G, but F&G can help you understand which one you're paid on. They'll know that, but they can't answer, which one counts toward why is this not coming up?
Okay.
Oh, maybe it's this. Yeah, I think this one's the same because we're up over the minimum. I don't know. There's something in there that something like that.
So it's definitely more profitable from our standpoint to do adults than kids.
Yeah, because you're up above the minimum instead of down
Mhm.
below the minimum 50,000.
Okay.
So even if you're contributing like $20 a month, it's going to have a $50,000 death benefit. It's just more of your money goes towards you're watering it down a little bit
Gotcha.
because more of it's going toward a death benefit.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, thank you for all that. That's really helpful. I'm going to write 3 illustrations today for a 6, 4, and a 1-year-old, and get those emailed out to a client I talked to last week.
Yeah, that's great. They're very powerful with kids. And here is, I'm going to send something to you in the chat. That's actually, I did an illustration. I had an appointment last year. I'll tell you a really quick story. Last month, an older guy, he's really well set. We went through everything. I could not find pain. He has lots of insurance. He has properties. He has this, he has that, but he kept talking about his family. I couldn't find any reason to write a policy on him. I showed him some numbers, and he was like older, so it was a lot of money for $10,000 or $15,000, which was nothing to him. He's like, he's got a lot of money in the bank. He's like, I don't need that. It's not a big deal. So, but I kept hearing him talk about his kids, and so I said, well, and he has one grandkid who's like his pride and joy, right? 1 or 2 years old or something. So I started talking about the IUL, and he just lit up. He's like, what? And so I wrote this policy for him. He got really excited. $100. He said, I want to contribute. I want to set him up for success. He loves the idea of one day his kid being, in his 20s or 30s, grandpa's dead. And he's got this amazing plan set up thanks to grandpa. And he gets to remember that the rest of his life as he continues to contribute. He keeps remembering his grandpa and what his grandpa did for him. It sounds a little bit hokey or cheesy, but he's setting up a legacy. Like his kid will never forget him because every time he gets that check, he'll be like, my grandpa did that when I was 1.
Absolutely.
And I am so glad he did that. So, so he got all excited. I got a call from him, like when I called him to let him know it got approved and it's been issued. And he goes, yeah, he goes, I was going to call you. I was talking to my financial advisor, and I'm like, oh no, because financial advisors don't usually write these products because they're not life licensed and they don't make money in these products. So they usually counsel people, oh no, don't do that, do this. And he goes, my financial advisor shared a video with me. And he goes, I want you to watch it. Because he's like, he spent like 7 or 8 minutes on the phone selling me on the product that I sold him on. He was like up and down. He's like, this is amazing. I can't believe it. I watched this. And he goes, wait, the way you explained it, it made sense. And I was glad I moved forward. But after watching this video, like, he goes, I can't believe what we have our hands on here. This is phenomenal. Like something clicked. But his financial advisor actually supported the whole thing and gave him a video to watch on YouTube. And that's what, like, so finished, sealed the deal for him. So I was like expecting a different answer when he's like, I talked to my financial advisor, and I'm like, great. What did your financial advisor say? But it's
very cool.
Yeah,
the lady I met with last night, the fiance of the guy I wrote a policy for last night, she has 2 grandkids. One is 1-year-old and one is on the way. And she was all about some life insurance. Like she understood life insurance. So if I can't help her with what she has, I think she's gonna be really excited about this for her grandbabies.
Yeah. This will help you too. This is one, it's like 6 or 7 minutes long. It's called Indexed Universal Life Comparison for a 2-year-old.
Okay.
This is what I watched. He sent this to me, Abrams Insurance Solutions. But he compares an IUL with a 401k, with a Roth IRA, with stock markets on a chart, how they go over the next like 50 years.
Oh, wow.
And it's really interesting. It's very quick. It's like 6 or 7 minutes. It's not very long, but it'll help you understand how to talk about an IUL versus some of the other products, because
Okay.
it is good for us. I mean, we're not financial advisors, so we can't give advice along those lines, but it's good to know terminology and to be able to speak to them, because people will ask about, well, what about my 401k? If we don't know how they work, it's hard for us to answer, or, you know, these types of things. But those retirement camps, the boot camps, and the trainings on our website, if you really want to get into more of these types of products, there's a lot to learn. I'm still learning myself, but you can get to one of those boot camps, or go to Equus. If you go here to the training center,
Might be advantageous for me around this area.
and then, yeah, you go to retirement solutions. So click here. They have this little quiz or online drills right here. So there's these little mini courses with mini quizzes that can really help you. And all these modules, they teach you, and then you take a quiz, and then they teach you, and then you take a quiz.
Okay.
So, and Bill Martin's doing it. It's on all the different products. It's on concepts. It's on, and they're like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes each. And
Okay.
there's like 20 of them. So this is good to go through. Just chip away at it here and there if you want to slowly educate yourself on, you know, what's out there and how these work, and the different, how to talk about them, and like all that stuff. So
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
yep.
Yay. Thanks, Matthew.
Oh, you're so welcome. I hope that helps.
It does very much. Just the little specifics on how to write the illustration, but also the bigger picture of all this.
Yeah.
And I'll call Equus today too and find out about the APV. And if I get an answer that makes sense to me, I'll pass it on to you guys, because I know Julie was asking about that too. And
I certainly never claim to have all the answers. So
yeah, well, no, we never do. That's why
I'm
my
still
daddy always said, it doesn't matter what you know, it's what matters is, are you willing to find out the answer from who does know it? So
yeah.
there we go.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you. Tell Miss
Cool.
Lindy hello.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
Talk to you
I'll
later.
let you go. Thanks, Matthew.
Bye.